You can live a life full of love and light if you just let the Spirit guide you. It's the remedy where you'll find peace, but you must let the Spirit guide you.
Who made y'all priests?
What's up, world? This is our Fafore.
What's going on, good people? This is Oseun. Welcome back to the Who Made Y'all Priest podcast, where we talk about our spiritual journeys, our everyday life experiences, and the issues of the times from the perspective of two people who just happen to be priests. Fafore, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, these lights is bright, boy. Man,
You just spent some money and got you some 100-watt light bulbs, huh?
man. Now I'm talking about this. Where I got my camera on, man. This it's like when it's nighttime and the police get behind you. I'm like, geez, I'm gonna have to turn the volume down on these things.
Hey, so let me ask you this: have you ever heard of the lost books of Adam and Eve?
No, I ain't never
Never
heard
heard.
nothing like that.
You know, I just heard about it on TikTok. It's a lot of people talking about the lost books of Adam and Eve on TikTok. They say it tells the story of Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel, their twin sisters, and everything that they did in the garden that's not mentioned in the book of Genesis, and even after their departure from the garden, the things that happened after that.
They made that up. I've not never heard of no lost books of Adam and Eve.
You ain't never heard of the books in the Nagamati library either, but you got that.
That's why I got it though. I heard about it.
Nah, man, you just thought the name Nagamati sound cool. They told you that they found it in Egypt. You was like, oh, I gotta get that book, but you ain't never heard of none
Yeah.
of them books right there. None of them.
I've heard of, obviously I got the Apocrypha. I got the the so-called lost books. Like it sounds like this you said the story of Adam and Eve. Is that what it's called? The lost books of Adam and Eve? Them is real lost books. I never heard. Man, we've been at this thing for about 10 years doing it. I have not never heard one biblical scholar say, man, y'all know they got them books on Adam and Eve. I mean, I didn't heard about Jesus being snuck off to France and having some kids over there. And there's a line of Jesus over there somewhere running around Paris. And I never heard of this.
Right. But I just heard about it. The book is like $11 on Amazon, so I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna check it out. You know, I'm into the extra biblical scriptures. But back in the gap, I read a book called the Book of Jasher. It's called the Book of Jasher. The Book of Jasher is mentioned in the Old Testament.
Yeah, I got that too.
Okay, so I read the Book of Jasher, and the Book of Jasher gives you a lot more insight about the Genesis story than the Genesis story does. So I like that. And then I've read the works of Josephus and him talking about the biblical stories and all of that. But yeah, man,
Josephus Flavius.
yeah, man. Yeah, you know I'm into the extra biblical scriptures, man. So I gotta check that out, man. I got, like you say, the Apocrypha, the Nagamati library. I think the only thing I don't have is the Dead Sea Scrolls. I don't think I have the Dead Sea Scrolls.
I think I might have that. And we got the Book of Enoch.
Do I have the Book of Enoch? I know I had it at one point. I know I had it.
Yeah, I know you had it. Because we was looking into it at the same time. I remember us having a conversation to both get it.
Yeah, I had it. I had it at one point. But I'm gonna check that out, man. I'm gonna check it out. They say it was found in Ethiopia. It was originally written in, you say, Ge'ez.
Good, yeah. That's that old throwback, ancient language that come out of Ethiopia.
Right. So they say it was written in that language, found in Ethiopia. So yeah, man, I'm gonna check it out, man. I'm into all of that. I'm into the stories. So yeah, I wanna see what that's about, man.
Speaking of which, and I can't think of the name. I'm glad you mentioned that. they said that the new word on the street is the first Bible, which the Ethiopians are the ones who are being credited with having the first Bible. I was told, or I had read or heard that that book was translated from the Septuagint, and the Septuagint was written in, I think they called it Egyptian Greece, which means it was Greek that was, or ancient Greek, or Egyptian Greek. It was a form of Greek that was spoken by native Egyptians.
Mm.
And that's who wrote the Septuagint. And essentially, the Ethiopian Bible, which is known as the first Bible, was translated from the Septuagint. Here recently, I came across some information that said that actually the person who wrote the book, the first Bible, the Ethiopian Bible, was not Ethiopian, but was a white man, a European.
Mm.
Now, I don't know how true that is, especially with the language that it was written in. But I just thought about that because you were telling me about this book from TikTok. I saw a video. I got this information from a video on IG. So we got to be careful about what we get from information off of social media.
Right.
But how many likes did that book have on
Um,
Amazon?
I don't remember. It had like a maybe 100 and some views on it. But
100
I'm
something,
not a
like
view. I'm not
100
a view
something
person.
reviews. Oh yeah, yeah. That matter of fact, the the lower the reviews, the better for you, boy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
man.
trying to be the dude that say, you know what I'm saying, I read it first. Like I came up off this information from a book that was not well known. Yeah, yeah. You don't play around with that, boy. You love giving somebody a chance, boy.
Yeah, man. I wanna check that out, man. I wanna check that out. I'm gonna have to see. That makes me want to read the Kibra Nagast again, or get back into the Kibra Nagast, and all of those extra biblical books, especially the ones that are purported to come out of Ethiopia. I want to get back into that.
See, that's why I gotta stop talking to you, because Efi done told me I gotta focus. I can't be reading all these extra books.
Me
If
too.
if I said this is what you got to focus on, this is what I want
Right,
you to concentrate on for 2024, and you in here trying to make me read all these random extra books,
right,
you
right.
know, you
Yeah,
got to say that for 2025.
right. I agree. But we gotta have the books though. We gotta make sure we got them though.
That's a good point.
They may become rare books or something. We just recently got our hands on a rare book that's going for what, $1,000 on Amazon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oops.
We just recently got our hands on it, man. Oh
This
yeah,
is yeah. This right here. This is some
yeah.
heat.
I started reading it too, man. That boy go hard. It go hard. It's go hard so far. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
dug into it a little bit more today. Um, and I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to be reading something else. That Spirit said, read this. But I had to flip through it because of you. Man,
right.
look on this page, it talk about this. So yeah, man.
Yeah, we need that, man. But what we got for the people, man, this episode, man? What we talking about, man? What are we trying to get the people involved in this week?
So today we're going to talk about a widely used, very popular, I'll call it a proverb that you hear in the spiritual community, and that is keep your eyes on your own mat.
Keep your eyes on your own mat. Keep your eyes on your own mat. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? I remember when Baba first told us the story about him going to Nigeria after his Oluo had passed, and all of the different ways that he saw people divine, and the different ceremonies that they did, how differently they did them in different towns, and different states over there in Nigeria, and how none of the Babalawos had any discrepancies. They didn't have any arguments or anything like that. And from that came this proverb about keeping your eyes on your own mat. But what does that really mean to you, and how is that beneficial or not to our community?
So I think before we go there, you want to talk about how we hear it being used, or how we hear it being used most
Mhm.
often.
Right. Yeah.
And so for that, the way we most often hear it used is basically mind your own business.
Right.
You know. So how do you feel about that?
Um, I don't want to say I'm against it, but I can't think of another way to say it. So I'm gonna
Right.
say uh, I'm against the proverb when seen from that perspective, because I think that facilitates us not having a community at all. When everybody is minding their own business, when we have fallen into this Western rugged individualism,
Mm.
we get away from the community that our ancestors sought to build. I think our ancestors thrived in what I call communalism as opposed to communism. That they thrived in communalism where everybody in the community had something to do. They had something to provide. They had some way to add to the community, and they had to do that thing. And if they were not doing that thing, the community would call them out on that thing, because that whatever that thing was, it was important. No matter how small it was important. It needed to be done. So there was no room for people to keep their eyes on their own mats or mind their own business, because what you didn't do affected me. And I think that that's why, or affected the whole community, the community as a whole. And I think this belief that we should mind our business, or believing that the phrase keep your eyes on your own mat means to mind your own business and not worry about other what other people are doing, is why we don't have a community right now.
So I love what you said. I like rugged individualism. That's
Mhm.
beautiful. I like that. Um, the thing though is, does keep your eyes on your mat mean, or has it become to mean to mind your own business, and as a result, that's how the community and interpersonal relationships were shaped? Or did the interpersonal relationships change first, and then keep your eyes on your own mat then became uh, mind your own business? Uh, and I think it's the latter. I think it's because how society and community devolved,
Mhm.
then you had an evolution of that proverb, keep your eyes on your own mat, to me, mind your own business. Back when I was young, growing up in my neighborhood, front porches was a big thing, right? You always had people, especially older people, right, sitting on the front porches. So not only can they see everybody in the neighborhood, but they can also be seen, right?
Mhm.
Now we live in the suburbs, right? We live in different types of neighborhoods than what we grew up in. And now there's no front porch. Now you got a patio in the back, and you got this big high privacy fence surrounding your backyard. You can't see your neighbors, they can't see you. I remember before I moved to Houston, riding around a friend of mine's neighborhood, and I remember saying how like the neighborhood was beautiful, beautiful, suburb, nice expensive homes. I remember saying how I didn't like the neighborhood because it was too quiet,
Mhm.
because that was way different than the neighborhood that I grew up in. But people spend way more time in their homes or in their backyards with their privacy fences. And I think that's a sign of, or not, I think that is a sign of the de-evolution of society, the de-evolution of community. And as a result, we have all these terms that are aimed at supporting our lack of unity with the people who live next door to us, across the street, and so forth and so on.
Mm. You know, this reminds me of not a conversation I had with somebody, but a conversation I watched being had over social media, though. And it's somebody we follow on TikTok, uh, and he's a Babalawo, but he's a Babalawo
Mm,
in Santeria Lukumi tradition,
mm,
and how he talked about there is Isheshe, there is Santeria Lukumi, but there is no American Ifa. And that made me think about how we as Black people, no matter where we find ourselves in the world, we think difference means wrong.
mm.
We think that if I don't do something the way you do it, or if you don't do something the way that I do it, then it's wrong. And I think that that is what came from the story that Baba told us. At least that's what I got from the story that Baba told us, is
Yeah,
that our ancestors on the continent from which this came had no problem with their neighbors doing the same thing differently. But we have a problem with our neighbor practicing Ifa, doing it differently. We think it's wrong. So I think that that's what the phrase actually means, is to keep your eyes on your own mat, means that difference doesn't mean wrong,
right,
because you look at my mat and see things arranged differently on my mat, or you see me doing things differently from the way that you were taught, or the way that your lineage taught you how to do things. It doesn't mean that I'm doing them wrong. It doesn't mean that you're doing them right, or vice versa. Again, this goes back to the story of Eshu being told in a Warren Soap bag, the story of perspective, and how we both can see things differently, do things differently, and both of us be right from different vantage points or different perspectives. So for me, to keep my eyes on my own mat means simply that how I do it, if it's different from the way that you do it, doesn't make it wrong. You and I have been accountability buddies before Bobby even said that term to us.
right, right,
And I think we need that. We need an entire community of that. So this, again, rugged individualism of the West is not suitable for the spiritual system that we practice. We need a community where elders can guide us in the ways that we're supposed to be going, where we can have these accountability buddies, where we can have all of these things that hold people accountable, because this is not like Christianity, and this is not a shot at Christianity either, where there's nothing that you have to actually do to be saved or to go to heaven. There are protocols and procedures. There are things that you have to do. There's work to be done according to Ifa. There are things that we have to do. And sometimes we need to be held accountable for the things that we don't do. So we need those elders. We need those accountability buddies. So keep your eyes on your own mat, for me, does not mean to mind your own business. It does not mean not to worry about what I'm doing, or I'm not going to worry about what you're doing. It just means that difference doesn't equate to wrong.
right, right. Well, one thing I want to correct you on is that in Christianity, for my Christian brothers and sisters out there is some work that you have to do. You have to believe in your heart, confess with your mouth that Jesus is the Son of God who died for our sins. So that is something that you have to do. So,
You know what I
you
mean.
know,
You know what I
no.
mean. There's
I
no
was
work.
hey, I went to a handful of Bible studies now. So, you know what I'm saying? I learned me some, boy, and I
Yeah.
got me some books. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I know what it is. I done read the good book, you know.
and according to them, I'm saved and I'm still going to heaven, so I'm good. I already got my ticket.
Oh, I always say I'm saved. You know,
Yeah, I
I've
got my
I've
ticket.
never shied away from that, and the fact that Jesus is my personal Lord and Savior.
Right.
So no, I ain't
I
never
got my
shied away
ticket.
from that. You
Can't
know what
take
I'm
my ticket.
saying?
I'm straight.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, you brought up a couple of very interesting points. One of the things is here in America, with social media, the way we use social media, And I'm not blaming social media because we were who we were before social media got here. People like to
Right.
blame social media for everything.
Hmm.
Social media only showing you what people doing. How,
Right.
it's showing you how people think. How it's showing you, what people motivations are. So let's not make social media this monster. I mean, at the end of the day, we get on social media every day, you and I, and talk about spirituality. So because that's what we do in real life, right?
Right.
So social media isn't the bad guy. It's us and our behavior. But part of what makes American society what it is this whole thing about having to be right and let me be the first one to be right. And part of me being right is not only telling you that I'm right and how I'm right, but it's telling you how everybody else is wrong. And for every video that you have of somebody pronouncing something, even things that are well intentioned, you got 5 to 10 videos debunking what this person is saying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not presented in a way of, hey, I just want to present some information from my perspective. No, you calling out names. Tyrone Jenkins, Health Food Elixir is wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Samantha Washington, who be getting on here preaching the Bible, is wrong because she said, and this is not that. You know what I'm saying? Like we just centered around always trying to debunk people. Just present your information. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You ain't gotta name names and call out people. Just if you really are here to help people, just present your information. So a lot of it has to do with that, right? And it's this thing that we all want to come across as smart and seem smart. So we got to do this thing. I like to blame. I blame women to be perfectly honest with this, because
Hold on, man.
now I'm gonna
Hold
tell you
on, man.
why. No, no, I'm blaming women. I'm gonna tell you why I
Hold
blame
on.
women.
Hold on. Tread carefully now.
No, I'm calling out the women out there. Once y'all start telling people y'all was sapiosexuals, once y'all start pushing that, man, you had dudes reading books and let me go be the first one to present this information. Let me debunk this person or whatever. So women, I blame y'all. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Y'all done got these sapiosexuals going crazy. No, but it's just our society, man. And it's ego. A lot of it is ego. You talked about how we being one another's accountability partners. And the beauty of it is because, especially in dealing with one another, our egos are so balanced that it's no matter what we think we know, the other person can come and say, nah, that ain't it. And we're gonna go back and forth. Here go my information, here go your information. We're gonna go back and forth. And if somebody is like, dang, you know what, you got a point, we ain't got no problem saying that.
Mm.
We have no problem saying, dang, you know what? That makes sense. Dang, you know what? I see where you coming from. Let me switch up. You know what I'm saying? Let me move. Or we both, if nothing else, are more informed in what we think we know, and we are exposed for what we thought we knew that we didn't. And in areas that we feel like, oh, I could be better in that and tighter in that, then we go back and we do some more research, more study.
Right.
And that's the beauty of the whole thing. So when you talk about keep your eyes on your own mat, to me, what it means is eliminate the judgment.
Mm.
Eliminate the judgment. It is because of this collective consciousness, right? And now I'm speaking directly to those people who call themselves spiritual, right? If you call yourself spiritual and you understand the nature of your individual spirit, then you understand our individual spirit is a spark or a piece of the creator that binds us all together. If you're a spiritual person and you also believe and understand the fact that people that you may have come across, especially to people that you gravitate towards when you're here on this earthly plane, probably not the first time that you met them, right?
Mm.
You understand when you find yourself being drawn to certain people who represent a certain community, right? You understand things like egg bay. And if that's the case, then you understand that we came here to make each other better.
Mm.
And I can't make you better, and you damn sure can't make me better if you can't approach me to say, hey man, that right there, that's not it. Let me tell you why. If you can't have that conversation with me, and if I can humbly listen to what you're saying and receive the information, that's what, and I'm just gonna take a quick pause right there. That's really what men be talking about when we talking about women. They be saying all this submissive stuff. That really ain't what you're looking for. You're looking for the that feminine characteristic called receptivity,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it ain't just something that women should do, it's all of us. But if we're receptive enough to be able to receive the information and ponder it and have a dialogue with somebody, if we can't do any of that, then we can't get better.
Right.
And if there's two things, either you getting better or you getting worse,
Mm.
because ain't no such thing as staying the same,
Right.
right? So pick one, pick a lane. And if you find yourself becoming stagnant and not growing, it's either because A, you're not receptive to information, you're giving off an energy that demonstrates that you're not receptive to information, so people don't tell you anything.
Mm.
Or when you get said information, you don't do anything with it. See, when, like Oseun said, when we had a community, we all knew that we were dependent on the people that lived in the community.
Right.
And without ego, we all supported one another. That's why we can't get ahead,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody judging.
Mm. Mm. You said a word about everybody wants to be right. I think the reason me and you clicked so easily, very first day we met, was because I think we both understood that we were okay with being challenged, especially on information that we were trying to convey. That we were both into seeking after knowledge, being challenged on our knowledge, and being willing to make changes if necessary. I tell people all the time, I'm not married to my beliefs, that my beliefs are malleable
Absolutely.
based on new information that I get. When Baba told us that as priests, we are not worried about right and wrong, we're only worried about an understanding, that hit me hard, because I know that we are living in a society where being either right or wrong matters so much. It matters so much.
Right.
But now we find ourselves in a space where right and wrong doesn't matter so much. We're only trying to find out why. We're only trying to find out why. We're only trying to get an understanding. And again, perspective is going to be key. Perspective is going to be key. We have to understand that our internal representation of reality is not the reality, it's a reality. We have to
Right.
understand that unadulterated reality is filtered through our past experiences, through our beliefs, through all of these other things that we have as individuals. Unadulterated reality is filtered through that. So the only way for us to gain more access to the truth, the only way for us to gain more access to reality, is to be willing, and able to accept the perspectives of other people, because they've had their own experiences, they have their own beliefs, and they have their own internal representation of reality. So for us to get a wider perspective or a wider view of the reality, real reality, then we have to be willing to accept the perspectives of other people. And again, like you said, not stand in judgment, to remove the judgment from what we see. This person is doing what he or she has been taught, what they believe to be true, what they believe to be right. I really believe that people do operate from a place of believing that what they are doing is correct and right. I believe
Right.
that people operate from that perspective. So I think we have to, like you say, humble ourselves and be receptive to the beliefs of other people, to the perspectives of other people. Try to see things from their vantage point.
Mm-hmm.
And again, keep your eyes on your own mat. for me does not mean mind your business, because that does not facilitate the community spoken of in the ODB5. It does not facilitate the community that we are well aware that our ancestors had on the continent and in antiquity. It does not facilitate that. So anything that does not facilitate community, anything that does not facilitate everyone in that particular community getting better, that ain't it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I use social media to be social, like for real. Like I got a whole I got some IG homies, you know what I'm saying, that I'll be reaching out to, I'll be talking to. So there is an owl from Nigeria that I talk to. Because over here, and you said something about that where you said that there was no American E5. I totally disagree. I believe, I mean, think about it. We know that over in Nigeria, now this is that same patch of land that people do things entirely different from one village to the next.
Right.
Even the seniority of the Odus are different from one village to the next, right? So I had asked him if he was familiar with that saying, and he said he was. And I asked him, what does it mean to him over there? Like, how is it used? And he said, I'm going to read what he said. He said that it's used as a proverb, and it means that you are you are on yourself, or you are your destiny, and you and your destiny are only together, and you should watch your back and be careful, because there are many bad people that act like good people. And he said, talked about being vigilant in anything that you do. And so I was thinking to myself, like, that's how they use it, and about, there are people who aren't really good people. And I was like, man, that's crazy. But then I started thinking about the Holy Odu, or the Odu Ifa. And the Odu Ifa speaks of the same thing. When you have Odus like a Warren Meji that talks about the importance of relationships, or draws attention to the relationships of other people or with other people, and it talks about how fortune and misfortune comes through other people. And then you have like Okaran Meji that talks about negative people and enemies being around us. The same thing for Ika Meji. It talks about negative people and like evil vibrations coming from people. And I'm like, man, there's a lot of Odus essentially that talks about how much negativity that people bring to you. I'm like, that's crazy.
Mm.
Like, that is crazy. Like, and I never thought about it like that until he said something, and I got to thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of Odus that send around negativity from people.
Right.
And that's crazy.
Right. Right. The thing about there not being an American E5, I didn't engage this person. I didn't engage him because I didn't really want to have the back and forth. And I've seen how one owl can get into this battle of words with other owls. It's for me, it's unbecoming of an owl, especially on social media. If y'all
Right.
can reach out and talk about it in person, I don't think it should be hashed out over social media. But one of the questions that I had was, how could Ifa leave the shores of Africa and get to Brazil and become Candomblé, get to Cuba and become Santeria and Lucumí, make it to Trinidad and Tobago and become Shango Baptist, and when it gets to America, it doesn't become something else.
It's just stagnant.
It's just stagnant. Like, we're supposed to
Right.
be. We either have to adopt Santeria Lucumí, we have to adopt Candomblé, we have to adopt we have to adopt something else in the diaspora for the way that we practice Ifa to be accepted by the people who change the very thing that they are talking about. And it's not a change in the sense that uh, it's distorted. Not
Right.
that it's distorted. It did what it needed to do to survive. If we believe that Ifa is a living tradition, that it's a living spirituality, it's going to change again. It's going to have to, or it's going to die out. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I thought about that too when I hear the phrase, keep your eyes on your own mat, because again, difference doesn't mean wrong. Because
Right.
we do things differently doesn't mean that we're doing them wrong. We even have other people in America who practice, I don't know, because um, there's so much going on between Isheshe and Santeria, Lukumi, whatever name you want to give it. There are other people practicing Ifa in America who disagree with how we do things and how we see Odu, how we interpret Odu. And the question is whether or not it works. That's what our Luo taught us.
Right.
Is it matters whether or not it works. Does it work? Have have you seen betterment in yourself? Have you been able to help other people with the way that you do things? If the answer to that is yes, then I would say that you are doing things right. If we're going to use the terms right and wrong, then you are doing those things right. If
Right.
it's bettering you, if it's bettering your family, if it's bettering the community around you, then you're definitely doing those things right. And
Right.
just keep your eyes on your own mat simply means that the way that you find other people doing the same things that you do, if they are different, that is not wrong.
I
It's not.
mean, to me, if you study the cosmology of V5, that's all you need to realize that you can kind of shift and shape how you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Once I read that Oduduwa was the progenitor of the Yoruba people, once I read that life started at Ile Ife, I realized, oh, this whole thing revolves around the Yoruba people. And I'm not mad at it because, what we call Ifa, they created. It's their thing. It wasn't intended to be something that was practiced around the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as when they were creating it. The only traditions that were created that way are, if you look at history, are vehicles of war. Now, I'll just throw that out there and you kind of play with that how you want to, but if you go back through world history, you can't actually get away from that. Um, but yeah, once I read that, I was like, oh yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, the life started in Ohio. That's where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? That's how we doing it. But
Right.
but yeah, no, like you said, things I've watched our Luo do something and then 2 weeks later do the same thing differently.
Very differently. Right.
And I was like, yo, Baba, I thought after you did this, then you did that. Yeah, sometimes. I said, oh, just sometimes? Yeah. You know, you gotta find your rhythm. He always say that. You gotta find your own rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But since we watched him all the time, We'll see the shift in the change. Like, oh, he don't do that no more. And guess
Right.
what? What he does work the same way that it worked when he was doing it the other way. Them readings still gonna hit.
Right.
Them rituals still gonna hit. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? You still gonna get that job. You still gonna get that person off your back. You're gonna still, shake them haters off, whatever it is, called on him to do, it's still gonna hit like it did last time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So brings me to one of the biggest things to me that keep your eyes on your own mat means. Because Baba always says things have two or more meanings.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that he made mention of because we were with him over the weekend and we asked him, what does it mean to him? because we see how it's used widely.
Right.
So we did like a little poll and we asked priests, aborigines, the whole nine. So we asked our Aluo, and then he reminded us of again that story that Oseun shared that when his Aluo passed and he went back and his Aluo was very well known and they go from village to village for divination and things of that nature and how everybody was doing it different and nobody batted an eye. Nobody said, hey, that ain't how you do that. Everybody just accepted the fact that there was differences. But he said one of the important things when you think of keep your eyes on your own mat, it means to be focused on your daily practice is.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that you interact with spirit? How are you interacting with your aura, your higher self? How are you growing and getting better? How are you putting the time in to study or not? Are you putting the time into your craft? How are you perfecting your craft?
Right.
Things of that nature. And that for me really hit home.
Mm-hmm.
That really hit home. I was like, yeah, I like that. I like that. That saying, keep your eyes on your own mat has devolved as we have devolved.
Right.
However, if we go back to what it was meant to be and how we were meant to look at it, it'll always it'll get you centered, right? So when he said that, I was like, yeah, that's it right there.
Right. That's definitely it. Like I say, anything that doesn't facilitate community is totally against Ifa. It's totally against our ancestors. There are too many Odus that speak about community. Um, there's one Odu that says there should be a gathering together like the trees do to form a forest.
Mm,
Uh, there's so much in the Odui Fa that talks about community, and not just community here, but as a spiritual community. Because now we get to the depths of the good condition or the good position and how we
hmm
have to get to that point as a community and not as individuals, and not just individual communities, but one community as a whole, one creation as a whole. We have to get to the good condition, the good position. Um, I think, when you and I were reading Ifa with Me and the Broken World together, and one day Abimbola talked about how we have too great of a focus on ritual
Yes.
here. And then later on, you and I kind of came to the conclusion about what we feel like ritual is and how the different elements of ritual can be placed in different orders and the same result be had. The same result be had with adding these different elements of ritual. It's like
Right. Right.
once you figure out what the individual elements of ritual represent, then you can make your own ritual.
Right.
These rituals were created from elements that our ancestors understood that this element represents something. This element has a certain vibrational frequency that goes out into the universe, attracts energies like into itself, and bring it back to where the ritual has taken place, or the person who's performing the ritual, or the
Right.
person for whom the ritual is being performed. Uh, so it's not anything. It's not rocket science. It's not
No.
rocket science at
No.
all. This is easy. Our focus on we've become ritualists.
Right. Right.
And the first place I heard that word was in the lodge. Somebody becoming a ritualist. I also heard it or read it in passing in reference to Satanism about being a ritualist because they perform rituals also. But I think our focus on ritual and doing it in the ways that it's always been done has also taken away community, because now we have something to argue over when there's a certain tweet in a ritual and then people saying you're doing it wrong. the way you talk about Odu, Odu, this Odu doesn't say that. Well, how you know this Odu doesn't say that if you don't know everything that's in the Odu? And if you could claiming to know everything in a particular Odu, now I question your character and I question your truthfulness because we know
Right.
nobody knows everything in that's in an Odu. We need to
Right.
just be more receptive when people are making an attempt to tell us things. I mean, because I listen to
Mm-hmm.
everybody. I listen to everybody about everything that they have to say, especially if it's about Odu,
Right.
because I understand that I know very little in the big scheme of things. I know very little about Odu, about ritual, about any of this. I
Well, I
know
would say you know
very
a
little.
whole lot about ritual.
Huh?
I would say you know a whole lot about ritual. I would say most people or the average person knows a lot about ritual. And
Mm,
if we make it on a very basic level, right? If you play sports and every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday you got up, went to the gym, got 3, 4, 500 shots up, you know, that's a ritual.
mm,
Now, the more it could be very elaborate, maybe you start off that ritual getting 400 shots up the same way. You start shooting layups. You do X number of layups. Then you back out a little bit. And then, you go to the corner three and you get X number of shots. And then you move to the elbow. And then you move to the top of the key. Maybe you come in after you go around, you come to the free throw line. Shoot. That's
mm.
a ritual.
Right,
And if you do it over and over and over again, and then the more attention to detail into your ritual, the better you're going to be at that said thing,
right,
right? Um, People go to the gym. When I go to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning, I see the same people there. You know what I'm saying? That's a part of their ritual. That's a ritual. They go into the gym at said time. They do certain exercises on certain days and rinse and repeat over and over and over again. That at a very basic level is a ritual.
right.
Now, the rituals that we're talking about is tapping into certain energies in order to manipulate energy in one way, shape, or form to receive a certain outcome.
Mm-hmm.
That's all ritual is at a very basic level. Now, there's certain incantations that help. You know, there are certain trinkets and things of that nature that help with the potency of said ritual, right? But essentially, that's what a ritual is. So we
Right.
all we all do rituals. I know some of us who don't come from this community get spooked out with the word ritual,
Mm-hmm.
but we all got them.
Right. 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 So I think we shouldn't find ourselves arguing over ritual. And you and I have talked about this that some of us have gotten so rigid. Uh, and then we get into this thing about dogma all over again.
Right,
We get into this dogmatic state of mind or state of being all over again.
right,
Certain people telling us that, oh, you can only do this ritual with Obi Abata. Well, not necessarily because we don't live in a place where we can readily cultivate and get our hands on Obi Abata. So there has to be a way that we can tweak this and get the same result. It has to be because if Ifa is going to leave the shores of Nigeria, is going to leave the shores of West Africa and go somewhere else and survive, we have to be able to use other things. Santeria and Lukumi did it. Candomblé did it. The Shango
right,
Baptist, they did it. And understand too that we're not saying that Ifa is the way. We understand that it's a way. Uh,
right.
we understand that this is one of many mystical traditions that holds this undercurrent of philosophy and knowledge that has been all over the world, and not just called Ifa, but called many different things all over the world. Uh,
Absolutely, absolutely.
I
It,
kind of hate when people say that Europeans went into Africa and stole the knowledge that the African priests had. I'm just not with that. That's not from my reading of history. That's definitely not what took place.
No.
Uh, what took place is that some Europeans went there as students. They learned at the feet of these priests. They went back into their own communities and wrote books. And on many occasions, people like Aristotle, Pythagoras, they gave credit
Yep.
to Africans. It was the people after them that claimed that people like Aristotle, Plato, and Pythagoras created these things. They never took credit for creating those things. So that there was no stolen legacy per se. There was a going in and it being freely given to them, and then
Yes.
people after them claiming that these people, Aristotle, Pythagoras, Plato, that all of these people created these things. But they definitely, it's because we don't read, but those people definitely gave credit where credit was due. It's easy to figure out where they got the information because they readily tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, things like the Egyptians being black. The earliest historians, the people that we call, the person that we call the father of history, tells you that the original Egyptians were black. But we don't read, and we're so ready to argue and be right. That's not, for me, that's not even an argument to have with somebody about
Right.
the color or the race of the Egyptians. But
And we
again,
keep our eyes on our own mat. So we're not
keep
even having
our
conversations with other people in exchange and having a free exchange of information and going back and sharpening our sword and
right.
going back into research. Yeah. You
Yeah,
1000% right.
yeah, man. So I don't think again, keep your eyes on your own mat has anything to do with anything that doesn't facilitate community. So if we are out here believing that keep your eyes on your own mat means to mind your own business, not to correct your brother or your sister, not to hold your brother or sister accountable, understanding that they have something to bring to the community, that what they bring to the community is valuable, that
Right.
none of us are crossing the finish line any faster than anybody else, that we're all going to be here continuously going back and forward until we reach that good position or that good condition. Then we need to start indulging in those things that facilitate community, regardless of what those things are, and regardless of what we are being told. If it doesn't facilitate community, that ain't it.
Right. Right. And I'm a Virgo sun, so I'm gonna have my eyes on your mat. And if you in my vicinity, I'm gonna tell you like, why you doing that? What's up
Right,
with that?
right,
Whatever. Yeah, that's because that's what Virgos came here to do. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be true to my Virgo sun, and I have a stellium in the 12th house, so I can see your shadows. I can
right,
see those things that you need to work on. You might not have anybody in your friend group who's pushing you like, hey, why you don't do this? Or, why don't you take advantage of that? I'm gonna see it, I'm gonna tell you. So
right.
my eye is gonna be on my mat and your mat. Straight like that. In love though, in love.
Right,
You know what I'm
right. All
saying?
in love. Yeah,
I'm a priest and I'm a Virgo son. That's the servant. I came here to serve people. And in order for me to serve you in the best way that I know how, it is to first and foremost help you to see the parts of you that either you don't see or you see them, but you act like you don't see them.
right,
I'm going to draw the attention to it and say, hey, whoa, what's that? You know, and one of the reasons I do it, especially if you in my circle, is because I want you to do the same for me. The thing about the Virgo's quest for perfection, we open to that, right?
mm,
How you get perfect? I mean, I can't just get perfect by myself, just trying to figure out my own stuff by myself. Sometimes I need an unbiased opinion from the outside, or even a biased opinion for that matter, you
right.
know, to say, hey, well, what about you? And I tell you, you know what, you're right. I need to do that too. But I ain't in denial about it. I'm here to help you so we can help one another because
Right,
we are all community. We are all family.
right.
All of it. I don't care if you black, white, Indian, whatever the case may be, red dot or feather. We all family, you know?
Right.
And somebody might want to be offended by what I just said, but you know what I was saying. And again, it's all
Right.
in love. You know what I'm saying? All
Right.
in love. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? My black brothers and sisters, whether you African on the continent or African in the Caribbean or African in Europe or African American, we all family, man. So what we gotta do is we gotta mature, right? We gotta balance them emotions, like the Odu Okaran Meji talks about putting our head and our heart in alignment. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Or Otura Meji, using wisdom, being governed by logic and not emotion, so we are able to receive information and we're able to give information from an from a unbiased, unemotional, loving place,
Right.
right? And then we'll all be good. It's enough fun. It's enough fun, money, abundance, peace, joy, happiness out here in the world for all of us to get some, right?
100%.
And if you knew how to do it, if you know how to get to it, you would already been there by now. So kill me with that whole I already know. No, you don't. You 45. You
Right.
50. What you mean you already know? If you already know you would already got it. So let's all help one another, man. Let's all help one another. We ain't getting to the good position. Erosu Iwari talks about the good position. We're not getting there on our own. We're
Right.
not getting there by ourselves. The reason why we have these experiences that we feel or we label as negative, because you need them in order to grow and evolve. And sometimes, in order for you to grow and evolve, you need somebody to tell you you ain't as smart as you think you are. You, you know what I'm saying? You don't got it figured out like you think you do. You
Right.
need some help. Have you thought about this? What do you think about that? Maybe you should read this. Maybe you should sit your ass down somewhere. Any one of those things in love,
Right.
in
Right.
love, you know,
Right.
because, sometimes I will tell you to sit your ass down or shut your ass up in love. You know what I'm saying? In love, though.
Right. Right.
I'm still a work in progress. I know as a priest, I shouldn't say shut your ass up or sit your ass down.
Yeah.
You know what
But
I'm saying?
like you told me before, you ain't no Catholic priest though.
I ain't no Catholic priest, right? And I grew up in a certain type of neighborhood. That's not an excuse. That's just my reason.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So one day, I too will get to that place where I would say uh, something besides sit your ass down or shut your ass up.
Then you've ascended. That's when you're gonna start wearing those
Yes.
them little pants with the thing in the middle.
Pause. Whoa, whoa, that is crazy work right there.
Hey man, hey man,
Woo! Wow,
we ain't carrying around in mace, man.
man. Hey, wait, look. Hey, he got too comfortable. Oh my God, man.
Oh
Hey,
man,
man, I think that's a wrap.
yeah, man. This was a great episode. I think that was a conversation that needed to be had. Just know, I'm gonna have my eyes on my mat and on your mat too. I'm gonna have my
Mm-hmm.
eyes on my mat and on all the people's mats that's in my circle. I want all of us to get better, all of us to expand, to shift, to grow.
Right. That's why we
Yeah.
got two eyes and one mat.
Right. Yeah, man. This was a great episode, man.
It was. It was. I almost caught the Holy Ghost at the end. You know what I'm saying? So it's been over a decade since I had that happen. So you know what I'm saying? I'm waiting on it, man. But hey, family, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button. Hey, listen, we need y'all to smash that like button.
For sure.
We need y'all to subscribe. We need for y'all to share this with your mama, cousin, them, your auntie. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? We know you got a cousin in jail that got a cell phone that get on YouTube because we seen his TikTok page.
Right. Tell him to
Send
hit
that
it. It's
to
down there somewhere,
right,
y'all. It's
right.
down there somewhere. Tell him to
Yeah,
hit
yeah.
it.
Send that to him. Tell him to circulate that around the cell block. You know what I'm saying? And holler at us, and we'll pray for him. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, do that for us. We appreciate y'all. Oh, one other thing too. I realized so we I'm gonna blame this on Oseun because I feel like so somehow we had an issue way back when we started our TikTok page. So we went through 3,000 names because it kept locking us out. But this was way back. So I was giving y'all the wrong page for the TikTok, right?
Right,
Because I don't remember the details of how we was messing it up. We old, right? You know what I'm saying? So social
right,
media kind of out our thing. So we was trying to figure it out. Our TikTok page is Who Made Y'all Priest 11,
right.
right? Not whatever I was saying before.
And I was still finna mess it up. I still was finna say something else.
Yeah, because we literally had, I mean, it always was Who Made Y'all Priest, but we
Hmm.
had some different numbers and we was messing around with that. And I don't know, we kept something, I don't know, we was doing something wrong at the beginning and we had to keep creating a new page. But this was way back when. But so yeah, it's Who Made Y'all Priest 11. So
11.
check us out on TikTok. Hit us on IG at who.made.y'all.priest. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I found us here on YouTube, or you listen to the audio version. Everywhere that podcast could be found. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all support. You know what I'm saying? And until next
Yes.
time, life is for the living. Live life out loud and on purpose. Peace.
Peace.